was in the house, bullied by Taylor.
We did not want bullies in the house.
Because I said, let's get Pooch evicted, and she went and ran to Pooch and told him.
I want to make it super clear that I self-evicted, not because of Taylor.
The behavior that happened towards Taylor, it was wrong.
The people, I think, Houseguests are in the best position to win.
What's up, y'all? It's Brian Keith, and I'm back with another video. And today, we're going to be talking about the first 3 pre-jury members that have been evicted from the house. It has been Paloma, Pooch, and Ameerah. And let's see what happened with them after being evicted from Big Brother or self-evicted. I also want to take this time to shout out the Winner Circle's YouTube channel. This is where I got all of the clips from each interview, and I've provided all the links down the bottom so you can watch the interviews in its entirety with Cody. And the video from Paloma was off of her TikTok. See what's going to happen. What do you guys think? Like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into the video.
Let me check my shit real quick. Hotter than the fire coming out my flaming lips. You wanna play with me? You can't play in me. On the playground, bitch, you can't play with me. Got it, won it, securing the bag.
So first up, we have Pooch. He's talking to Big Brother 22 winner Cody. Now, this is a splice video. This is not the video in its entirety. If you'd like to see the full video, drop down to the description box to the Winner Circle's podcast YouTube channel to see the videos in its entirety. How my format would be, I will pop in and out and give my opinion on what basically we're hearing. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's get started.
We're going to jump into it, right? There's a lot to unfold here. Even though it's only 2 weeks, your season had a lot going on outside of the house, even in the first week, the first 2 weeks. And so, but first and foremost, I obviously want to ask you, this is something that we ask everybody, is what were your expectations before you went into the house? And then now that you've played it and you've been evicted, have those expectations been met? And if not, how have they changed?
Yeah, so my expectations, at least going in with my gameplay, was, I wanted to be a strong player. I didn't want to be a floater. I wouldn't allow myself. My personality wouldn't allow myself. How I wanted to play the game, being a fan, I wouldn't allow myself to float. And I think that hurt me a little bit more because I tried to come in hot and heavy. But I really thought, I wanted to get strong competitors out early, whether it was male, female, whatever. I wanted to be a strong player and make an impact on the game.
When Julie tells you what is involved in the Backstage Boss, what's the first thing that runs through your head?
Is because at first I wanted to, lay low and, not hide my personality a little bit. I'm a big personality, I have a, big sense of humor. And it was something where I was like, now this doesn't allow me to lay low. It kind of puts more of a target on my back. I'm a male figure that's in decent shape. It doesn't help me. I have a big personality. And now Julie puts this twist on top of me. It puts me in the middle of it and gave me about 30 seconds to make a decision where. And that was a big thing I speak about even with the other house guests. When I had to pick the Backstage Boss and the other 3 females, I couldn't even see where like the porta potty challenge was. When I'm up top, I couldn't even see their faces. Yeah. So until everybody was lined up in front of me, I had no idea. I saw another 5-6 people that I didn't even see their faces, until they were in front of me.
Yeah. So you're ultimately, I feel like you're trying to defend yourself a little bit right now because you picked 3 women.
Yeah. And
is that what's happening right now?
A little bit, yes. And I thought and thank God Julie gave me that 30-second commercial break to make that decision, because I had no idea what I was going to do. And I was going to have to draw lines right out of the gate. And coming up with the whoever the first 3 that dropped in the competition, first dropped or got out.
Great decision.
Yeah, I thought that made a lot of sense. It was something where if I just picked, hey, you, it would have been, more of a, why'd you do that? Or why'd you cross that line? Or you want to work with this person or you don't? And at the end of the day, it was, I really didn't know it was 3 females. I did not, because I didn't know who got out first in the porta potty challenge. I couldn't remember who dropped first because it happened so fast and my mind was going. The only person I picked out personally because of the earring competition or the jewelry competition was Britney. And I picked Britney because I didn't think she would have held a vendetta against me.
So I totally understand why Pooch made that decision of picking the 3 girls due to the fact that they were the first to drop out of each competition the first night. And what he said about the guys coming for him, if he would have picked one of them, I totally agree with that. Just because if it was me and someone would have put me up for the backstage, I would have been pissed off too. Even if I was smiling in your face, I'm coming for you because you came for me. I'm going to return the favor and come right back at you, period.
I appreciate you kind of, you know, answering to that. There's a few more things we need to get into,
Absolutely.
but the next thing I wanted to ask you was, what was the hardest adjustment for you going into the Big Brother house?
So I guess the hardest adjustment was really, you know, because I'm sure, as you know, there is no outside. The backyard is shut down the majority of the show. So I'm usually, you know, I like to explore, adventure. You know, I like to be out, I like to do different things. So being actually isolated in the actual house was very difficult, you know, just where you literally can't get sunlight besides 1, maybe 2 times a week. You know, I guess for me, that was my biggest, you know, not concern, but ended up like, I just need some fresh air, you know, reset the mind.
Totally. People don't really understand that. I always say that's probably the hardest part is you don't just get natural sunlight, and that vitamin D is like super important for our psyche, for our health,
for sure,
and just for like our everyday living. And so when you are shut down, we were in the backyard during All-Star season because it was like middle of the pandemic. We had the backyard maybe like 1.5 days.
As a person who wants to play this game we call Big Brother, this is like critical insight that I am happy I get to hear, because something you really don't see on outside looking in, you know, when you see like the big production and you see that they have like you see that they go outside sometimes, but you don't know the severity of the situation. Like they, out of 7 days, they get to go outside one. Like that's crazy as hell to really think about, like all of that. But I really feel like the insight is great just to get to know and just get to hear their perspective on it as players.
You decide to put yourself on the block. You have this big plan because the house wants Taylor out. The house wants Taylor out bad. So you decide to come up with this plan to put yourself on the block. We talked about it a little bit. You're like, Dr. Will is one of your favorites, which he's one of everybody. He's just
awesome.
This guy is he cannot be emulated.
Never.
He just was in his own rank, right? But I understand the concept that you kind of were correlating to, where he just was fearless to go on the block.
Yeah.
You go on the block, right? And you're thinking stuff is going your way. You got a little cocky.
Oh, absolutely.
You got a little cocky when there was a conversation they showed between you and Joseph, who was your boy, and you're like, he's an idiot for telling me like I'm getting too confident.
Man. I know.
Right? So we go through that. At what point did you feel, because I know I saw like there was stuff on the feeds, at what point did you feel like, maybe this wasn't the right decision?
Yeah, so it really was. And the whole thing with Joseph, like that's something I gotta apologize to him right away, because I didn't realize how much he had my
back.
Gonna
understand.
Bro. He's
gonna understand
for sure, for sure. So him having my back, love that about him. I just thought, you know, I was playing the game from the second I walked in. You know, my brain was going game, and I feel like everybody does the whole, let's get to know each other, this, that, which is awesome. I love getting to meet the people. It's a great cast. Everybody comes from a different background. But as that's going on, I'm still thinking game. So, you know, I got a little too cocky, absolutely. But it was something where I knew when I was starting to sink or something was up was I thought I had a great chance of winning the veto. You know, I think I'm a competitor. I think I'm in, decent physical shape where I was like, hey, worst comes to worst, I need to win that veto just to secure my safety. And right after the veto, I saw every girl and Michael go into the HOH room, which did not happen the first week. The girls were a little bit, it was just in the sense where the guys kind of all meshed together. Everybody was, you know, cool. And the girls were good with each other, but it was a little more cliquey in the sense where some people got along better with each other, you know. But once they got to HOH room and I saw them all after the veto go in there, and I was like, okay, I'm part of the plan. I put myself up on the block. I'm pretty sure I should be in that room with there. Yeah.
Why am I not up
there?
there?
I was like, why am I not? I was sitting by the pool table, and I was like, why am I not in there? And I was like, they're friendly with each other, but I've never seen that entire group plus Michael in the HOH room. And that's the one place where every other room you can kind of walk in and out leisurely. You know, that's the one room where you got to knock, you know, make yourself present and walk in, and it, you know, you have to make an entrance. And that's something where once I saw them all go in there, which they did not before the first week, I was like, I might be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. And so that's obviously, it's funny how the different things that when you think things are going your way and then you notice that one like little switch. But I will tell you, man, the girls in the house are pretty cutthroat.
Oh, dude, they're badass. And
they're ready to rock, man.
Badass.
I definitely feel like Pooch's #1 mistake was putting himself on the block. That was one of the dumbest decisions he could have made. And on top of that, he says that he has this big personality. I didn't really get to see it like that. I mean, it's only week 2, so I get it. But it's just one of the situations where it's like he made a critical error. He got too overconfident, and it ultimately got him sent home. He was trying to trust the girls and try to make a lot of moves too quick, and it's early on in the game, and you really don't know where people stand. There was so much going on in the house where he just got swept up and got booted out.
Obviously, I know you see some of the stuff that's going around in social media behind the treatment of Taylor.
Yep.
Right? There's a lot of different conversations that are happening. There were conversations that happened on this podcast. There's a lot of conversations from past players that are going out there. Obviously, there's different things. There's a racial aspect to it. And so now I kind of want to give you a chance to answer to some of those things that I'm sure you have seen.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen them. My Twitter, Instagram's going crazy, the comments. But at the end of the day, I know the person I am and what's in my heart, and I know it's good. I know it's pure. I don't know. Like, I have no idea what they showed in my DRs because I spoke about it. Me and Taylor will be very good friends, after this house, once she eventually, whether she wins it or she gets voted out in a few weeks, whatever, we're going to be very good friends. Me and Taylor, in a sense, are very, we speak our mind, and we're unapologetically, we will be ourselves, and at the end of the day, I saw a lot of myself in her, and that's what worried me because I knew, I thought I was a strong player, and I knew she was a strong player. So me, and I saw the rest of the house, for whatever reason, personally, or they didn't like that Taylor spoke her mind, which is because she's a strong, independent woman, and that's intimidating in the game sense. So it was something where I tried to use that to my advantage, that they saw that Taylor was a strong, independent woman that spoke her mind, because I knew at some point, she would probably be coming for me. And I think, and I said it, in another house with different people, me and Taylor probably would have been, together or paired or in an alliance. It was something where I saw, for whatever reason, the house, because she was one of the only people in the house that spoke her mind, and people saw that and were intimidated, and it was something where I couldn't team up with her because it would have hurt my long game, unfortunately.
I definitely feel like Taylor is a strong, confident woman, and I feel like the initial blow up with Paloma and Monty gave everyone a scapegoat, that they put all their focus for that week and a half on Taylor. Like, let's get her out, because who wants to be the first one out? 1, and 2, everybody's trying to save their game. So they put a target on Taylor's back because it was easy.
I get that. The only thing that I was seeing, and that I think a lot of us saw on the outside, was just like her just kind of being like ostracized and outcast. Did you see that on the inside? Because it was like pretty, like a lot of people were seeing him were like, and I know as a previous player, I've seen it happen on multiple seasons where the person is just kind of like on their own. And in that house, it's the worst thing that could possibly happen. And I always like kind of want to hammer the cast to be like, I don't care whether it's game or not. Like, it's game. That person could be trying to backstab me. I'm going to be like, if they're sitting by themselves, I'm like, I'm walking over there just to say what's up.
Exactly.
Just to like make sure that they're okay. Cause that house messes with your head. And I think that's where a lot of it came from. And then there's other things that were put on it as well. But I think for the most part, it was just how she was almost like ostracized. And was that seen in the house?
From the inside, it was spoken about very early on. We did not want bullies in the house. And if it was somebody, and if we saw one bully, and it probably made us all look like bullies because it was happening to Taylor, which is unfortunate. But we made it very clear, even if we knew that we wanted to get Taylor out and it was best for our game, that does not mean if she walks into a room, we make it feel weird. There's no reason to. We like Taylor. Taylor's very, is a great woman. And I'm not just saying that to say it. She's awesome. We liked hanging around her. It was something where there was more people that might have been bothered by her personality, but I was fine. We made it very clear, hey, if we want to get Taylor out, do not make her feel weird, just like anybody in the house.
So I definitely respect Pooch's point of view on the matter when it pertains to Taylor. And I definitely respect the fact that he said that, I saw people targeting Taylor, and I personally didn't have a problem with what he said. But I used that to my advantage just to score another week, even though it didn't work, He's evicted. But at the end of the day, here's my problem. It's like everyone in the house that first week and a half talked shit about Taylor and had her name in their mouth, which is why the whole internet went in an uproar. And the reason why I'm giving Pooch his respect is because he seemingly was very much forthright and honest about his intentions. And do I feel like people were being like, I know it's a game and I know they do play with your psyche and there's a lot of moving parts going on. So I don't know the full thing about it, so I can't speak on it. But how and ever, there were people when he said that, you know, we didn't tolerate bullies, Jasmine, Nicole, Daniel, Monty, Paloma, like these people have like literally made up lies about Taylor for no reason to put out a false narrative about her for no reason. So for him to say that, that's fine. Maybe you didn't see it in the moment because you don't see everything 'cause you're in the house. But yeah, that's cap. Sorry.
Who do you feel like is playing the best game? And on the flip side of that, or not on the flip side of that, just kind of going along the lines, who do you think is in the best position to win? I know it's early. It's like kind of a crapshoot. It could turn in a day, but
yeah. So I think that Ameerah and Nicole are playing a great game, you know, where they are in a very good spot and they are both so intelligent, you know, and have a mind of their own. You know, it's something where I don't think it'll be easy to sway them. As a competitor, when I was in the house, I wanted to keep people around that I feel like I could play an influence, you know, in the way they thought or when they were making an important decision. And I truly believe that if it would have been very hard to change the opinion of Ameerah and Nicole's, which is a good thing. You know, it's a kudos to them. You know, it would have been very tough. So I do think Ameerah and Nicole are playing a great game right now and setting themselves up for success. One of the people I think Houseguests are in the best position to win is Kyle. Man, Kyle is somebody that he's in with the guys, but he's in with the girls. You know, it's something where he is truly such a genuinely good guy where, like, if he sat up there next to Taylor, I don't think they would have voted him out. I don't think they would have taken a shot. I would have been very surprised. It's just something where, you know, he plays a low-key profile, but just enough personal game where I think the guys think that they all have each other's back, or at least the group like Monty, Turner, Joseph. They believe that Kyle has their back. But also because Alyssa is in love with Kyle, that helps him get in with the girls. So Kyle is in a great spot to win this game.
If you would have asked me this question like 2 weeks ago, I would definitely said Ameerah was my pick to win. Unfortunately, she has been evicted, so fuck me, right? But I feel like the girls this season aren't scared to make moves. They aren't scared of going on the block. I really love that because it's just showing that women can get down and dirty and do what they got to do too in this game. But personally, I would have to say my top three would definitely be Joseph, Michael, and Britney. I feel like those three are playing the best game. They're staying out of the beginner's drama and they are building relationships and building trust with everyone in the house. And I feel like they all have the right amount of information on everything. And I would say Taylor, but I feel like she's going to have the biggest uphill battle, but I feel like it could pay off in the end. Next up, we segue over to Ameerah's interview with Cody.
To the Winner Circle. As you guys can see, I am joined here by the most recent evicted house guest, Ameerah. Ameerah, how you feeling?
I'm feeling fine. As good as I can be in this moment, I guess.
Yeah. How have you come down from the blind side yet?
Not yet. I still feel a little sick, a little betrayed, a lot of mixed emotions. I'm still trying to put conversations together, puzzle pieces together. I'm still trying to figure out like where this all came from.
Yeah. So my first question is, you know, last week you saw a golden opportunity to evict Pooch because he was super blinded by this house target that seemed to be Taylor, and the house was kind of like getting behind that, and Pooch was blinded by that. Now, do you feel a similar thing happened to you? You were the one that used that against Pooch, and you were like, nope, perfect opportunity, Pooch is going home. Do you feel that you got clouded by this like mass Taylor target like cloud, and it kind of blinded you from seeing what was actually happening?
Maybe, I guess you could say it like that. I definitely thought that Taylor was a target because everyone around me is talking about how Taylor is the target and why she's the target. All the guys were afraid of Taylor. There was a lot of drama happening around her. So I thought that everyone wanted to get her out. The difference between me and Pooch is that Pooch put himself up as a pawn. I would never do that. I was actually backdoored. So it was a little different. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
But yes, I do think that there was this everyone was talking about Taylor 24/7. It was like, it was just everywhere all the time. And so as far as I was concerned, like everyone was telling me that how Taylor was a target. I mean, even Turner had told me his top 3 targets, and Taylor was number 1. So I was definitely blindsided.
Yeah.
For me, Ameerah was very much like top contender to win, just because I felt like she really put together the plan to try to get rid of Pooch. And on top of that, they really didn't have to do much because he volunteered. He was like, yeah, you know, I'll go on the block. I'll be a pawn for you guys like a dumbass. And with Ameerah, she just took advantage of it and, you know, used the HOH Jasmine to, you know, just basically secure Pooch's fate. And I definitely saw her as a big competitor. So if it was me in the house, she would have definitely been my target, because she would got more comfortable making these decisions if she would have stayed in the house.
Tough. And I wanted to touch a little bit on the whole Taylor situation, because as a viewer and as someone that played the game, some of the Taylor stuff was pretty hard to watch with this cast, because there were things thrown around like, oh, Taylor's really aggressive, Taylor's making people feel uncomfortable. And then I would watch the feeds and I would see different situations and I'd be like, where is this stemming from? Like, but for a lot of us, we weren't really seeing it, and we were like, where's this aggressive? Who's she making feel uncomfortable? So maybe you could give a little insight as to like where that was coming from in the house, because we were watching the feeds and I know we don't see it all, but it was like, it was a little weird to see.
The behavior that happened that towards Taylor, it was wrong. So I'm still like, you know, I don't know everything that was said, but I'm trying to figure it all out as, you know, I'm going along. But what happened initially that blew everything up was that there was an altercation between Paloma and Monty. This is what set everything off. And Paloma and Monty were in my alliance. So I automatically trusted what they said.
Right.
I mean, I had to. They're in my alliance. And, you know, like I believe them. And so from there, it was a lot of hearsay of things that were happening. Like, oh, she's doing this now, she's doing that. I remember like I was talking to somebody and then like Pooch and Joseph, and like they said that she was listening on the door. And so we're like, oh my gosh, like that's aggressive. Like, why are we being pressed against the door? Now, mind you, I didn't see these things, so I don't actually know if there's true. I haven't seen them yet. So from my perspective, I'm going with it. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I'm hearing, even the other day I was in the storage room and Jasmine said that she saw, you know, her outside the storage room listening to me. So from my perspective, I'm like, this girl was listening to everything I'm saying. Like, she's just being super aggressive and pressing her ear against the door. Now, it wasn't until this recent, the day of the veto comp, where I was actually in the room for the first time when one of these big things happened. So I was in the room with Nicole and Taylor, when Taylor told her if she wants to quit, she can quit. Like, don't feel bad about it. And I saw how that was completely taken out of perspective. Right. And so I got to witness that. And that was my first time being there when something that was said about her wasn't actually true. And so I had been running with all these ideas, and I had my own conceptions, because Taylor would say little things under her breath that I could hear. We all did it though, but you know, like once you have a target, you just take any reason you possibly can. And so I think that's where a lot of this came from. I'm not sure if it, you know, it seems like some of these things may not even been happening. I'm not sure, especially from this last week of talking to Taylor. So that's where it all really came from.
First, I want to commend Cody with asking the hard-hitting questions. He gave it to her straight, no chaser, and I love that. The one thing that stuck out to me was Ameerah's word choice of calling Taylor's actions, or the action that she thought Taylor did, aggressive. She said it multiple times, which I just didn't like. I said, her as a black woman, me as a black man, we know that that has a negative connotation attached towards it with African American people, and I just felt like she should have used another word that was something a little bit different instead of just saying she was aggressive. I feel like the behavior could have been more so weird, but aggressive was very much not what I think she should have used. But on the flip side, I definitely respect what she said. It came out very much authentic. And I also feel like towards the end, we did see her have Taylor's back with the whole Nicole Daniels situation, where she saw that everything was blowing out of proportion for no reason. And like with Nicole, I don't know what planet or eye she was over here looking, but she definitely made something out of nothing.
I've seen that. I just had Donnie Thompson from 16 on, and he was a similar person. It was just, he couldn't do anything right. Everything was taken as a manipulation tactic. And I was like, And then you get out and you're like, why are we doing this to this really nice, innocent guy? And that's what seems to be happening to Taylor. It's just unfortunate, but I think that's pretty good insight as to kind of what was happening. That whole situation between Taylor and Daniel, you actually said something, and I appreciated it. I just wish that you would have like told him to kind of like settle down. You were like, well, it was misconstrued. And he was like, well, no. And you should have been like, dude, you're going nuts right now on her.
You are 100% right. And I regret that immensely. I was in this situation. I'm playing this game and I'm like in strategy mode. And like, at the same time, I'm balancing like, my personal feelings and like things I know that are right.
Yes.
From the outside of the house, I should be calling out. But then I'm thinking about the optics of the situation. I'm thinking, I call this out now, like, are they going to come after me next week? Am I going to be a target? Are they taking $750K away from me? So like in my mind, in that moment, I felt like the best track forward was to talk to each of them individually. So I talked to Nicole, I talked to Daniel, I told them how I felt. And then I went to Taylor, told her how I felt. And I told her like I was on her side and I did not see that. She can come to me. And then I told her that I would be defending her to the other house guests, which is what I thought was the best move forward. Looking hindsight, I wish I would have said something in that moment. I was just trying to balance the game with right versus wrong. And there's so much wrong that happens in Big Brother. It's sometimes hard to find that line.
Ameerah, I think that gives like great perspective that people on the outside don't really understand. You're in a situation, it's a pressure cooker, and you all of a sudden, what's right, what's wrong, but you're like, if it's not like overtly insane, I'm not going to say something because I don't want to damage my chances of winning $750,000.
So I totally get where Ameerah's coming from, because I can see how causing a scene or really like going to bat for someone hard could throw your chances off in the game. And like at the end of that, is neither here nor there now, because she's not gonna win the money regardless because she's out. But it's like one of those situations where it's like, I'm happy that she acknowledged the fact that she would have did something later on. But like I said before, we saw that she did say something in the diary room about the whole Taylor situation with Daniel, that they blew it out of proportion. And with Cody, I'm just like, okay, Cody, you can say that, and I love the fact that he's asking these questions, like, spot on. But with Cody, I'm just like, the whole situation with Davon, Bailey, and with, what was her name? It's Halloween, Easter, Hanukkah. With her, I mean, you didn't do anything either. You stood around too. So it's one of the situations where it's like, I mean, easier said than done, right? And also it's like, I don't really know that much either, because I'm not a house guest. Like, I really would love to play this game, so I don't know how I would react to it either. I'm not perfect. I'm a flawed person as well. So who would know?
Of, your blind side, right? You're completely blindsided. You sit there, you see the Leftovers Alliance, which I love the answer that you gave, where you're like, why do they feel like outcasts when like 3 of them were in a lot of my alliances? But I want to know who, because I said a similar thing when I was covering it. I was like, Kyle feels like an outcast. I feel like he's friends with everybody. Like, what's he talking about?
He is.
Right?
He's the popular kid.
Yeah. So who do you feel most betrayed by? Maybe not like personal, but in the game, that really took advantage of the relationship you had with them in the game and really is the reason that you feel so backstabbed and betrayed? Who's that one person?
Okay, so putting personal things aside, I think that game-wise, I feel the most betrayed by Monty. No hard feeling against Monty. It's a game. However, the very first week, he came to me, after we had post-pack, he came to me and wanted to start a finals 2.
Yeah.
And he told me, like, he only wants to be taken down by, like, a Black woman. And so, like, he wanted to take to the end with him. And, like, he touched me a little bit here, and I trusted him.
As you can hear with Ameerah talking, like, Monty literally was a manipulator. He went around in the beginning of the show and he promised people final 2s. He went to almost all the girls beside Taylor and I want to say Britney, and tried to get in good with them. Like, he talked junk about Taylor the whole time, him and Paloma, with the whole stunt that they pulled. And I don't even know if I could like go to bat for Monty. It's still up in the air for me right now, but it's looking like is a no.
Britney was really just kind of snaking between everybody constantly.
Oh, I know it. Listen, I called that from week 1 because I said, let's get Pooch evicted. And she went and ran to Pooch and told him. And I told Britney, I knew how she was from the very beginning, because week 1, she did me wrong with Pooch. She went and told Pooch what I was planning on doing. And so from that moment, I was like, we cannot talk game around her. but she was always like popping up in random situations. And then like I started hearing from people that she didn't feel included. So I'm trying to balance making Britney feel included. I came to her one-on-one, or she came to me and like she was crying and I had to hug her. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like this girl is doing me wrong, but at the same time, I'm trying to make her feel included and wanted. So it was really hard to balance Britney, but man, that girl was getting all kinds of information. I saw her all the time doing it, and I was just like, I wanted to get her evicted, but
yeah, that's
Britney, I feel like Britney is a snake and I love it. Like she is really laying low and really getting all the information and acting aloof when I don't think she's that dumb. She's acting very much like, huh? What? Like she's not dumb. She's a smart girl and I might be putting my money on her. And isn't Britney a hypnotherapist? I could have sworn she was a hypnotherapist. So after Paloma self-evict, I don't believe she did any exit interviews. And I also believe that she cut all ties with CBS and Viacom. So we're just going to go off the video that she posted to her Instagram to get a little bit of clarity of her side and react to it.
What's up, you guys? It's Paloma from Big Brother 24. I am feeling much better since I left the house and self-evicted. I want to make it super clear that I self-evicted not because of Taylor or anyone else, but because of my mental health. Another thing I want to address, obviously, is the whole Taylor drama, because frankly, I am so sick of people on Twitter making assumptions about who I am without actually hearing me out. So it's as simple as this. You know, I was in the house bullied by Taylor. You know, I'm in the shower washing my hair and she makes a comment and makes fun of how I look in the shower, right? Or I drop a piece of pineapple and there's a condescending comment that happened, right?
So I feel like her stance was nothing more than bullshit, to be honest. When you say someone bullied you, it's very much a strong word, right? Someone bullied me, someone relentlessly did something to me. Let's say Taylor, let's say Taylor did say comments about her, those two incidents that she said, right? But does that give Paloma the right to go on a diatribe against Taylor and talk about Taylor constantly for 7-8 days before she self-evicted with such vitriol every single day? It didn't. So to think that she would have came to us and gave us some type of apology to Taylor or try to learn something, it seemed like she didn't learn anything. And yes, mental health is a real issue, but this wasn't it.
So what does someone do when they're bullied? They clap back, right? And it's not taking the high road. It's not, you know, being the nicest person. I had moments in there where I definitely was not nice at all. And I do apologize for that. But I'm not a perfect human being and I'm ready to take accountability for that. Was it a matter of race or me being a racist? Absolutely not. Was it a matter of Paloma being bullied and it not being shown on camera? Yeah, that for sure happened. Did Taylor and I get past that and become friends? Absolutely. But I'm here to tell you that the media and the show a lot of times doesn't portray what the truth is. They want to portray what's entertaining. And like, how can you blame them? You know, how can you blame them? But it's at a cost and it's at the expense of my mental health.
So she brings up production and she brings up the show, how they, I guess, twisted her image and likeness to fit this archetype on the show. But my whole thing, she said that is at a cost of her mental health. So my question is, did she know before she self-evicted that there was a perception of her outside of the house? Because that's what it is pointing to, or that's how I interpreted it.
It's at the expense of me and my character, and it's at the expense of my well-being, truthfully. So I'm here to tell my truth and take it for what it will be. But you can believe it.
No.
You cannot believe it. At this point, though, I don't really care. I'm here to just tell my truth for my clarity and my closure. And that's what it is.
So I'm happy she has her clarity and her closure. And, you know, this for me, it just wasn't it. I was like low-key shocked when she posted this. I'm just like, okay, wow. I feel like she's trying to place blame still on Taylor. And just like, well, she did this to me, so I did this to her. And low-key, I feel like she probably made it a bigger situation than what it really was. I would have respected, and she almost got there, if she would have said, So Taylor said this about me, and it rubbed me all the way wrong with her, and I could never bounce back. So I had my sights out for her, and every chance I got, I was gonna run her name through the mud because I didn't like her. She talked about me first, so you started, you cannot stop it. It's period. If she would have gave me that energy, it's like no matter what, it was gonna be up and stuck with her. It's done. I would have respected it because I'm just like, boom, cool. You know what you did what you did, and it's up and it's stuck. Cool. She didn't do that. She was like, well, you know, me and Taylor, we're cool. We're going to be cool. And one day, I'm just like, I hate that. Just take full accountability. It's just like, I didn't like this bitch. We ain't going to never be cool. So I did what I did. But that's it. Thank you all for watching the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. All the links are in the description box to watch all the interviews or the TikTok. See you guys in the next one.